In 1988, the Christian church in Gaza sent out an appeal asking for an orthopedic surgeon to go and look after the wounded. That was the first time I stepped foot in Gaza. The early images of Gaza I would like to share with you. Gaza is not a dump. It never was. And even today, after half of Gaza was destroyed by bombs, it's still not a dump. As I drove in Gaza, I saw beautiful orchards, palm trees, and I saw the beautiful blue Mediterranean Sea, the white sand. And then, the Gazan people, warm and friendly. And neither is it entirely Muslim. The hospital I worked in is a Christian hospital. It was built in 1891 by the British missionary, and it served Gaza, and today it still stands. Many of you will ask me, how about Hamas? How do you deal with that? My first experience in Hamas is a totally different experience. My first week in Ali Hospital, the Christian hospital, was very difficult. It was the height of the first Palestinian uprising, when hundreds were killed and shot at, and the Israeli army has this policy, let's maim them. So the children got beaten and they got fractured, their arms got broken, and I worked very hard. On a Saturday night, I was told that Sunday is going to be my day off, I need a rest. And just as the sun was setting, someone came in and started engaging me in a discussion on Islam. He identified himself as a representative of Hamas. And we started talking. I've always respected Muslims. I've always respected Islam. But the discussion was not 100% unanimous. We disagreed on many things. And so we left the topic. I went to bed. 7:30 in the morning, the phone rang. And I thought that the hospital wanted me, so I picked up the phone, and it was my Hamas friend. And he said, Dr. Swee, you're just here, you just come a few days, but do you know that your church, no, your hospital has got a chapel, and that chapel runs a worship and a service every Sunday. If you like to go to church, you can go to that chapel. I didn't want to go to church. But to be told by Hamas to go to church is a different story. But that chapel was bombed several years later by a laser-guided precision missile fired from an Israeli F-16 plane. So that was Gaza. I told you about the beauty of Gaza. I told you about how wonderful it was. But most of you would remember Gaza from 2008, when our Christmas celebrations was rudely interrupted by images on the television where Israeli planes dropped bombs on the very densely populated Gaza. Gaza is 1.5 million people in the size of the Isle of Wight. Isle of Wight is about 125 square miles, which means that 10,000 people live in 1 square mile. And when bombs drop on that sort of density, the injuries, the death of people. And these were not ordinary bombs. They were bunker blasters, phosphorus, which burns and incinerates. So 21,000 homes were demolished. When I arrived in Gaza in 2009, just immediately after 3 weeks of bombardment, I stood in northern Gaza in a wasteland. This was a Gaza that I've driven so many times each time through the orchards, giving a ride to the farmhands, who in turn will give me oranges and lemons. But it has been totally bombed into obliteration. 200 schools were destroyed. Phosphorus was still burning from the ground. People were living in rubble. And of course, you should also know that Gaza has been under military blockade since 2007. The newspapers covered the withdrawal of Israel from Gaza in 2006. But very few of us knew that the withdrawal meant Israeli troops out, Gaza is put under complete curfew, blockade, food is not allowed in, medicine is not allowed in, building material is not allowed in, school books are not allowed in. People starve, there's minimal electricity, water is polluted, the water plants were bombed and destroyed, the sewage plants are also gone, and so people live in that kind of condition. There was no jobs because the factories were destroyed. Things cannot be exported because the Israelis won't allow anything out from Gaza. So the oranges, the tomatoes, the grapes, all died while waiting to be exported. Gaza used to be one of the biggest exporter of flowers, pretty beautiful flowers. So that is what happened to Gaza. The man who drove me to see what has happened to Gaza saw my despondency. I think he could see through my eyes that I was about to cry. Then he said to me, Dr. Swee, welcome to Gaza. No, he didn't say that. He said, Ahmad Wasala, Dr. Swee, which means in Arabic, welcome, Dr. Swee. Welcome to free Gaza. They have bombed us from the air. They've shelled us from the sea. They've pounded us with phosphorus. They try to starve us to their knees, but they will not have us move. We will die standing. If they want to kill me, they can come and kill me on my land. And on my land, I will be buried. That is the spirit of the Palestinian people. The details about what happened to Gaza, what happened to Palestine, you can read from my book, you can visit the PSC website, you can go into the NET website. I want to share with you one last bit. I told you about the Sarah Shatila massacre. I was working in the refugee camp. My operating theatre was in the basement. Because through the years, the Palestinians knew that once the bombs start to fall, their doctors will panic and won't be able to look after patients. So their operating theatres in Lebanon is always in the basement. So I operated with my team for 3 days and 3 nights. The dead bodies piled up high, people died. I got to take a unit of blood off from a mother to give it to her child so that she died and he survived. And on the morning, we were ordered out, 22 of us, out of the basement operating theatre at machine gun point. And as I came out, that was the first time I could see sunlight. But when I saw the sun, I also saw what happened in the refugee camps. Over the last few days, when we tried to save a few dozen lives, the camp was systematically massacred. People's eyes were took out, bodies were decaying. And as we went down, we saw more women and children rounded up by soldiers, and the look of fear in their eyes. And as I traveled down at machine gun point, out of the camp, a desperate mother tried to give me a baby. We never said anything to each other. I took the baby, and I knew snatched the baby from me and dumped it back on my mother. And shortly after we left, she pleaded, "Please kill me, but spare my baby. God will look after my baby." They killed both. And so we went out. I would say truly that I was completely broken. Completely. I was clinging on to faith, love, and hope. But I've got no faith left. I got no hope left. Even love is not there. My heart is completely dried up. I came out, and when the camps were open, I returned to visit the grandmother. I operated on a grandchild. I wanted to tell her that the 11-year-old survived. She was 70 and has walked 20 kilometers from South Lebanon when she heard the news of the massacre. And when she arrived, 27 members of her family were butchered. So this born-again, arrogant, fundamentalist Christian met a Muslim woman, a Hajjah, in her house. They will call it a clash of civilization. But God has made it such that our souls met. And she said to me, "What can I say in memory of my children? Our sparrows are still here, our carnations give fragrance, and our sparrows sing their usual songs. Yet my children are nowhere to be found. Beirut, you took all I had. You took my last hope in life, and my heart lies dead on the street. Abu Zuhair, my fine young son, was cruelly cut off his roots on your soil. May the blood of whoever murder you mingle with yours, which his mother feel my pain. My heart is full of remorse to this uncaring world, with 200 ships, 500 stallions carry my pain away. Mother says, my children, come visit our graves. I go to the graves and tenderly embrace their stones. I ask the stones to make way, to treat you kindly. I've entrusted you to them. Oh, bearers of coffin, would you not move slowly so that I can see my loved ones once more? God, would you just spare me? Just give me 1 year, just 1 year, and then your will will be done. How I envy those of you that were present when my loved ones died. Did you die thirsty? Or were you merciful enough to give them a drink? Life, what life is left to us? Our hearts have died, and our tears have dried for all the men and women who died. God Almighty, give us patience, and my children, may my love always be a lantern to your path, and may God show you the holy way